in the global AI rise, especially focusing on the challenges and opportunities associated with DeepSeek and chatgpt and OpenAI. And this is in the context of some of the recent events we have seen in news. The last week we have had a summit on AI, which was held in France, which was co-chaired by India and France. And we also had the news of DeepSeek, which created a major meltdown in the US stock market, bringing down shares of major companies like NVIDIA. And China was able to develop a AI model, LLM model, with significantly lower cost and in significantly lesser time. It said that they were able to develop an LLM model which was 97% cheaper. It's like saying that if Apple had to compete with a phone manufacturer which has the same features of Apple but at $30 instead of 1,000, right? So today we have with us our esteemed panel members, IAS Sir and Mohit Sir, and welcome sir. Welcome sir. So I'll start with IAS Sir. China was able to develop a model like DeepSeek, LLM, in very short time, in a very low budget. Why was India not able to develop a model like this?
See, like India, it's not like we are not trying. India has come up with the National Artificial Intelligence Mission, which has been announced by the government with a corpus of 10,300 crore. But if we see, like probably this all euphoria around LLM came after this chatgpt was revealed by the OpenAI in 2021 or 2020 somewhere. So after that we are trying, but there are certain inherent issues. The first and foremost issue are the chips, GPUs, which are there. GPUs are the graphic processing units, which are the backbone of any large language model you need to have.
Which is manufactured by NVIDIA.
80% of them are manufactured by NVIDIA. Right. And the irony of the matter is DeepSeek used the H800 GPUs of the NVIDIA, and when they announced their LLM DeepSeek R1, the biggest fall took place in the shares of NVIDIA itself.
So this is not the latest chip of NVIDIA?
No, it is considered as the most evolved chip of NVIDIA. And the other version of H100, which is having 80 billion transistors per chip. So I watched this interview of that CEO. He is saying, I am having 10,000 such chips. That's one thing. So India is not having, bottom line, GPUs. So we need to obviously now.
So it's a hardware problem.
It's a hardware problem. Now the other thing is why we are not having. First, we have started Indian semiconductor mission, but it's still in the initial stage. And moreover, there are export controls of the USA. Now recently again, since the arrival of the Trump, they have announced a new list of the export control of the chip technology, and where they have classified the countries into 3 categories. First category includes the European allies of USA, where there is no restriction on the technology and the quantity. India and China have been placed in the second group, where there is a cap on the technology and the number of the chips.
So India is clubbed along with China in
this?
Yes,
India is clubbed along with the China. So that's the, I think, the biggest bottleneck we are going to face. But let me quote Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, that he said we are working on it, and probably in the 5 years time we will be having the GPUs. But other than that, we have to make available well diversified data from all the stratas of the society, so that like as Honorable Prime Minister in the France AI Summit has talked about, that there should be no biases.
So when you ask for a left hand photo, it should not show a right hand photo.
You should not. That means that biases should not be there. So as of now, the data we have is not very well democratized in nature. So if we take the current quality of data, then we will not be having the the performance which is expected from the LLM. That's the point number 1. Point number 2, why we don't have data? Because we don't have the data infrastructure to store it. Okay, so now Reliance is coming up with its probably the world's biggest data center, and they have tied up with NVIDIA also. So very soon probably we might see the Indian version of the LLM coming out.
Okay. So coming to Mohit, so what is the challenges in developing an LLM model for us?
Yes, as Sir rightly mentioned, the hardware problem and the data. There are 2 major problems. In case of data, I would like to mention that the quantity and quality of data both are a problem. Sir, ChatGPT 3 was said to be developed on a 45 TB of text data. And just to give you a context, one ebook is 1 MB.
Okay.
So you can imagine 45 TBs is how much data. An average human being will take thousands of years to read that text data.
So is this open source data or?
That is one of the issues, because how do you train that, how do you get that quality data? If you search the internet just without any permission, then you are doing data piracy. So that is also an issue. And the quality, first is the quantity of approved data that you want, then the quality. Quality because there are different models of training the AI. In one of the model, which is structured learning, you have to have the data in a properly annotated format. It should have markings ki this is proper. Suppose ki you have a book, so the English in that book should be very accurate, ki what should be the next word, so that the AI model can be trained on that. So the quality of data should be very, very accurate. It should be properly annotated.
And the AI models are also generating its own data also.
That can be there, but it will lead to more biases. So we need quality data without any bias, so that the bias does not creeps in the AI model itself. And we need huge quantity of data which is approved for this use. Right now, whatever AI models are being developed, they don't account for the cost of the data. If we also account for the cost of procuring the data, then the cost of developing the AI models can go up many folds.
So is this cost which has been mentioned by the Chinese company, $5.8 million, does that seem realistic?
Sir, I would like to add a few points. Initially when DeepSeek came, so people said that they spent only $6 million to train it. But nowadays, in the recent analysis, some experts saying that this number may not be actually true. The cost of procuring the GPU, the cost of doing the backend activities, the cost of operating that entire facility, that was not added. So if we add all these costs, then the cost can go up in billions.
Because the US model is claiming to be a cost of $100 million to $1 billion.
So actually there are a lot of costs associated with it. The cost of data, the cost of energy, the cost of procuring the GPU, the cost of people who are making all this, and also the cost of research and development which has already been done. So if we add up, and also the environmental cost, because the energy consumed is generated from some kind of fossil fuel, etc. So if we add up all the cost will be huge. So we cannot actually comment on what is the actual cost that China used
and
to create.
Possibly the government has subsidized it also.
They have calculated it is around $1.6 billion.
That is the number,
which is almost 2.5 times. And to the data thing, I will add. Now, one of the things which has come up because of the data, like the OpenAI is facing the litigation, and there was that young engineer who was a whistleblower, Ruchir Balaji. He found dead on his flat, and then there have been some accusation, the counter accusation. So that's it. New York Times have sued them. So data availability is the issue.
And sir, lastly, one challenge is the developing proper algorithms. Okay, we need specialists who are trained in training the AI models, who are trained in developing the model. So we need AI specialists. So talented AI specialist, and that is also one major bottleneck.
Is it a problem of brain drain, or we don't have such people out here?
Because it's a new technology, so people are taking their time to get acquainted with the technology. But as more and more people get into this field, this problem of trained manpower can be resolved.
Because if you look at globally, many major software companies are driven by Indians.
Yes.
They are headed by Indians. So India does not have trained AI experts.
We need to do, every new technology demands a set of new type of skills. So training the AI model, creating anonymous data, anonymizing the data, removing the biases from the data, all these things we have to train the people so that they can work on the AI models.
So this bias is not just in data. Is it possible that the algorithm can also be biased?
The algorithm is as good as the data it is trained on. If the data has certain biases, then algorithm may also have some biases. Suppose you ask the AI model, give me a picture of the next US president. So from the data, the model can see that most of the US presidents were white males. So the model can give you a picture of white male. But that depends on what data you are training it on.
So looking at the current scenario and the competition that India is facing with China and USA, what should our strategy be in the current scenario?
See, like our strategy should have to be multi-pronged. Like Sir was talking about various things. So like first thing, like we have to make sure that we have the GPUs. So right now GPU is a very cutting edge technology. So what we can do, most of the countries what they do, they take the chipset from the international market, and on that chipset they try to develop on their own GPUs. So if we
reverse engineer.
Yeah, reverse engineer.
Okay.
So if we do this now, it will take us 5 years. The
Okay.
second thing what we should do as a country is like to have our own foundational AI. Now foundational AI is the term which is being used quite frequently nowadays. Now foundational AI, basically it is something which is comprised of core technologies. Core technologies includes your machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, then you have computer vision and the robotics. That is what it is. And then obviously you have to have this large language model which is there, the large amount of data you are using. But the purpose of the foundational AI, it's a large language model which can be tweaked or which can be modified to have the sector specific application. Okay. And that's we can do, like we have an LLM, one LLM, okay, with some modification for healthcare, with something else for the agriculture, with something else for the education. So obviously this will be a very good, resource utilization and an efficient way of utilizing the resources. That's what we are trying to do. Another thing what we need to do is like, okay fine, making GPUs will take 5 years. So what we can do, we can borrow the chips and we create common compute facilities. Common compute facilities, say the dedicated places where the
globally or for the country?
For the country.
For the country.
I'm talking about India only. Okay. Like we can have the places or we can create a new infrastructure. For that, the professors, the academicians, the startups, the researchers can use those compute facility as pay-per use. Okay, that the second thing.
Like what we do for supercomputers.
Yes, like that way we can like come, use, and then
they have to pay for that particular
the government
usage.
can obviously give them some subsidy and anything else, just because we are looking to promote here. Okay, and that can be accommodated within the the funds which have been given under National Artificial Intelligence Mission. So that's the prerogative of the government. One more thing what we need to do, this is the R&D part. Now R&D part, obviously we need to retain our human resource, like as you have read and I also read and sir have read it. Now what is happening in the last few years, our JEE Advanced, many of the top 100 people, they're not staying here, they're going abroad. Okay, there have been many examples of that. So how to retain them? That's the question. So like Mr. Ambani is coming up with data center, or like government of India is having National Artificial Intelligence Mission. So what we can do, our final year students who are in IITs and IITs doing computer science BTech, we can have some sort of internship for these people into these projects which are directly or indirectly supported by the government of India. So that way we can have a continuous stream of the human resource, and we don't need millions of people. America is not having like 3, 4, 5 people who can lead this organization. DeepSeek has been developed by a 29-year-old engineer. So if that can be done.
Who was working on stock markets before?
Yes, who was working on a stock market. So that my take on this issue. Then what else we need to do? What else we need to do is, that's okay, the thing which will be happening behind the curtain. What about in front of the curtain? So we need to, like you have also read, Finance Minister in her speech has announced Center of Excellence for Education. Previously, there were 3 more centers of excellence were announced: healthcare, agriculture, and sustainable cities. So what will we be able to do? We will be having the sector-specific applications to benefit the people. So when people will directly relate with these things, probably, there might be someone, young entrepreneur, India's version of Sam Altman, who can obviously stay here and try to come up with their own company. That's catalyst we need to have. That is what I think should be the strategy. We need to, it has to be multi-pronged. We should not focus only on one thing. And one more thing I would like to add, as the Honorable Prime Minister has said in Paris, that AI summit, we will like to have sovereign AI. Now what is sovereign AI? Sovereign AI where everything, data, that is infrastructure, workforce, research and development, and the governance is within the control of the government of that particular country. So if we can ensure that, obviously we can create a niche for ourselves, because as of now the global AI race, although I'm not convinced, seems to be a two-horse race.
So data colonialism is happening.
Data localization, very important point. And I would like to add, recently when government has released the draft DPDP rules 2025, where Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, who is the Minister of IT in the government, has said we will be having a committee, and that committee will recommend the creation of central authority, and that central authority will get in touch with all the stakeholders to bring out the norms for data localization. Because what is happening now, our data is going out and we don't know, probably that might have been used. Okay, as I told you, the case of that young boy in USA, that whistleblower in the OpenAI copyright violation. So that is data sovereignty we can have. And if we can address the issues which Sir rightly highlighted, then nobody can have the quality of data which we can have, because we have every possible diversity on the planet in our country. Okay, right. That's my take on it.
So if let's say we end up developing our own LLM, what will be the advantage of having an Indian LLM for us?
Sir, I would like to mention that there are few examples in history that we can use to draw an analogy. India did not invent the internet, but one of the biggest beneficiary of internet has been India, because we are having so many people, and the digital literacy has really really done wonders at the grassroots.
Employment generation
and all the things that Digital India program, etc. India was not the first one to send a satellite into the orbit, but right now see ISRO, and it is doing a wonderful job in terms of space exploration and satellites. So similarly, maybe India was not the first one to develop that LLM, but अगर हम लोग AI को democratize कर पाए, ठीक है, if we are able to see that the benefits of AI reach the last person, then we will have huge advantages. India is a country which has 22 scheduled languages and more than 19,000 dialects. So we need an AI model which can understand all these languages, and it can also help in translation of the languages.
So it should work on vernacular also.
Vernacular languages. तो इससे क्या होगा कि एक तो communication gap between people in India वो अच्छा हो जाएगा, and education in local language वो बहुत we can promote that also. Plus जैसे जो local people है उनका adoption of AI बहुत अच्छा हो जाएगा. जैसे कि अगर farmer है in तमिलनाडु तो he can search in his own language कि अब इस साल बारिश कैसे होगी और कौन कौन से फसल उगाने चाहिए. ठीक है, तो एक तो ये फ़ायदा है कि आवर ओन AI मॉडल जो है वो मल्टीलिंगुअल और मल्टीकल्चरल होगा. देन सेकंड इज़ कि वी विल हैव AI सोवरेनिटी. जो भी मॉडल्स US ने या चाइना ने बनाए, दे कैन हैव सम बायस against India. And if we ask them some difficult questions about China, suppose if we ask DeepSeek something about China,
already it is happening.
It may not reply. ठीक है, तो we should have our own AI model which should not have biases against India. Then, as Sir rightly pointed out, we will have data localization. Our data will remain in India. Then the kind of economic opportunities that will be developed from the AI industry will be huge. ये इंडस्ट्री सर ऐसी नहीं है जिसमें सिर्फ एक सॉफ्टवेयर की ज़रूरत है, इसमें आपको हार्डवेयर भी चाहिए और लोग भी चाहिए. तो फॉर मेकिंग GPUs एज सर राइटली सेड कि 5 years लगेंगे, लेकिन उसके लिए सर हमको सेमीकंडक्टर और सब इंजीनियर्स वगैरह चाहिए. तो ये ग्राउंड बेस्ड इंडस्ट्री होगी, एंड इसमें सर इट विल क्रिएट डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ जॉब, है ना. वी कैन कॉल इट जॉब डिस्प्लेसमेंट. ठीक है, नॉट जॉब्स विल नॉट बी वाइप्ड आउट, दे विल बी डिस्प्लेस्ड फ्रॉम न्यू टाइप ऑफ जॉब्स. तो उससे फ़ायदा क्या होगा सर कि सेमीकंडक्टर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में, डिज़ाइनिंग में, चिप डिज़ाइनिंग में, है ना, और माइनिंग वगैरह में, प्लस एनर्जी प्रोडक्शन बढ़ने चाहिए. तो उसके लिए वी नीड मोर, वी विल क्रिएट डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ जॉब. प्लस जो भी डेटा सेंटर बनेंगे सर, उसमें भी आपको लोग चाहिए मैनेज करने के लिए. तो न्यू टाइप्स ऑफ जॉब, इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ विल बी क्रिएटेड. तो आई थिंक दैट इंडिया का खुद का AI मॉडल के काफ़ी एडवांटेजेस हैं. और प्लस इफ़ वी आर एबल टू डेवलप AI मॉडल्स विच कैन अंडरस्टैंड सो मेनी लैंग्वेजेस, देन उसको हम यूनिवर्सली दुनिया की सारी लैंग्वेजेस पे अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. तो एक यूनिवर्सल ट्रांसलेटर टाइप का AI जो है हम लोग बना सकते हैं.
Because I think right now there's a lot of risk of our data, people are searching all types of information on
yes,
and that is going abroad.
हाँ, तो डेटा लोकलाइजेशन है सर, जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ है, तो दे आर लॉट ऑफ एडवांटेजेस जो कि चाइना या US के AI मॉडल्स हमें प्रोवाइड नहीं कर सकते. इसलिए इंडिया को एक अपना AI मॉडल बनाना चाहिए सर.
And maybe we can be the leader for the global south.
हाँ, ग्लोबल साउथ वाली एक वॉइस है सर. तो no AI model is from the global south, तो we can be one.
Okay. So the recent Nobel Prize for Physics.
Yes.
What is the connection between Nobel Prize for Physics and AI?
Yes, sir. This was like a question I wanted to answer, because a certain perception has been created that how come you can have the Physics Nobel Prize being given for AI. So both these Nobel laureate this year, John Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton, they were given Nobel Prize obviously for their work in AI, but they used physics in their models of AI. Like John Hopfield, who developed a recurrent neural network, and he employed a very there is a spin glasses, which is obviously, spin glasses are the magnetic systems where the spins of the atoms are randomly arranged. That was the basis of that. And second, the other concept which Hopfield used, that every system in the nature tends to move towards lower energy state. So then he applied that on artificial neural network. That artificial neural network is obviously, which is having an algorithm, it is not the energy as such is being used in artificial neural network, the analogy of that. So algorithm makes the predictions by picking up that particular parameter which is representing the minimum deviation from the expected path. Minimum deviation here is analogous to minimum energy, lower energy. So that was the work in brief about John Hopfield. The other person, Geoffrey Hinton, he developed Boltzmann machine, and Boltzmann machine, whosoever has studied physics, in physics we study thermodynamics, and in thermodynamics there is a very famous law, Boltzmann law. Boltzmann law says the state of a system is a function of its energy and temperature. So that law he applied on the data, and then Geoffrey Hinton used statistical mechanics or statistical physics to train the AI system. So what exactly statistical mechanics या statistical physics, तो इसमें हम क्या करते हैं statistical physics में, हम बहुत बड़े स्केल पर माइक्रोस्कोपिक स्ट्रक्चर को स्टडी करते हैं. जैसे इस रूम में जो हवा है, अब कितने एटम हैं, मॉलिक्यूल हैं, किस गैस के हैं, किस मॉलिक्यूल की क्या एनर्जी है, किस मॉलिक्यूल का वॉल्यूम क्या है, टेम्परेचर क्या है, वो पता लगाना इम्पॉसिबल है और लगाने से कोई फ़ायदा भी नहीं है. तो हम क्या करते हैं, और वो मॉलिक्यूल आपस में इंटरेक्ट भी कर रहे हैं. जब ये मॉलिक्यूल इस रूम के इंटरेक्ट कर रहे हैं एक दूसरे के साथ, तो इस रूम की मैक्रोस्कोपिक प्रॉपर्टीज डिफाइन हो रही हैं. जैसे एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर इस रूम का, इस रूम में जो वॉल्यूम है उसकी, वो भी मैक्रोस्कोपिक है, टेम्परेचर है. तो व्हाट दे डिड, जेफरी हिंटन डिड, he applied the concepts of statistics like probability and other such concepts on the large scale data. Here data is analogous to these microscopic structure. अब जैसे data एक दूसरे से जब interact करेगा और उसके pattern को समझ के then obviously making the prediction. That's why the machine which was developed by Hinton, for which he received the Nobel Prize, is Boltzmann machine. So it's a type of unsupervised learning which uses the probability to make the prediction. So the underlying aspect, or rather I can say जो foundation है वो physics है, इसलिए physics में Nobel Prize इनको दिया गया है. और जैसे हमने शायद पहले भी कहीं पे बात की, मेरा मानना ये है कि करंट अवार्ड और रिवॉर्ड सिस्टम जो है वो रियलिटीज़ को रिफ्लेक्ट करने वाला होना चाहिए. और रियलिटी ये है AI is here to stay. और ये फैक्ट है, जो लोग इसको डिनाई करना चाहते हैं, they can do at their own peril, but it is here to stay. So I think इसको it has been, they have recognized it, and that's what it is all about.
So, Geoffrey Hinton also,
yes.
He also very famously said that there's a 10 to 20% chance that AI can lead to human extinction.
See, that is why there is a lot of emphasis on the governance of AI. It started in 23 when G7 meeting was held in Hiroshima. So there they started this process कि इसको regulate करना है. फिर अगर आप उसके बाद देखें तो AI summits हुई. पहला ब्लेचली पार्क में हुआ. ब्लेचली पार्क का अपना एक हिस्टोरिकल सिग्निफिकेंस है कि सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर में जो एलन ट्यूरिंग है, जो जहाँ से कोडिंग शुरू होती है, उन्होंने वहाँ पे लीड कर रहे थे टू ब्रेक द एनिग्मा कोड्स ऑफ जर्मन. फिर उसके बाद सियोल में हुआ, तीसरा भी पेरिस में हुआ. हाँ, तो यहाँ पर भी गवर्नेंस की बात आ रही है. बट गवर्नेंस देखिए, हम सब जानते हैं कि इस तरह की टेक्नोलॉजी एक इसमें एक डिलेमा होता है जैसे यूएस और यूके रिफ्यूज टू साइन द डेक्लेरेशन. अगर ये obviously you all know US as of now is still, no matter power in AI, China might be trying to catch up, but still by far US is the leader. तो अब अगर US agree नहीं कर रहा है और UK agree नहीं कर रहा है, this is the problem with the governance, that the system will collapse because it's a major power. And in that case, that way, the world is in a bit of a flux with respect to violence at multiple places. And if such technology falls into the hands of the people who know and they can combine it with something else, then obviously what Geoffrey Hinton is saying might be the reality.
So, as a follow-up question, sir, what are the risks associated with the misuse of AI?
Yes, sir. Sir, on the cost of being cliched, I would like to say that AI is just a technology, and it, like all other technologies, it is up to us, the humans, how do we use it. If we use it for good, then we will have good results. If we use it for bad, then we will have bad results. The same goes for nuclear technology, the same goes for any missile technology, the same goes for anything. So there are risks associated with the AI, just like for example, if sir rightly mentioned, if somebody with wrong intentions gets a hold of AI and अगर उसने उसको बायोटेक्नोलॉजी के साथ कंबाइन किया या फिर साइबर सिक्योरिटी मतलब
डेवलपिंग अ न्यू वायरस.
हाँ, मैं इंटरप्ट करूँगा आपकी बात को. अभी एक लेटेस्ट डेवलपमेंट है, यूएस में उनका था डिक्लेरेशन था कि एआई को वेपन के साथ यूज नहीं किया जाएगा, वो लाइन अब हटा दी गई है. सो नाउ इफ एआई अगर आप वेपन में यूज करेंगे तो एक इंटरनेशनल कन्वेंशन ये है कि आप ऐसा कोई भी वेपन नहीं बना सकते जो ह्यूमन डिस्क्रिशन के विदाउट ऑपरेट कर पाए. तो सर लाइक सॉरी सर मैंने आपको इंटरप्ट किया, सॉरी
सर. राइटली सेड सर. एंड इट कैन स्टार्ट अगेन अ रेस, जैसे न्यूक्लियर रेस हुई थी, स्पेस रेस हुई थी, ऐसे ही एक एआई रेस फॉर वेपन्स भी स्टार्ट हो सकती है. प्लस इसके अपने डिसएडवांटेजेस हैं सर. द काइंड ऑफ एनर्जी दैट द एआई इज यूजिंग राइट नाउ, it is bound to go up multiple times. अभी बोलते हैं कि 2 to 3% of the world's energy is consumed by the AI, and this will double or triple itself in the next 10 years. If we combine जितने भी लोग AI यूज़ कर रहे हैं सब कुछ, तो अगर हम सारी एनर्जी जोड़ें तो 20% of all energy can be used by AI by 2030. तो सर अगर this amount of energy, if it is coming from fossil fuel, then the kind of emissions that will have, it will be phenomenal. So we need to discuss about sustainable sources of energy for AI, maybe nuclear or maybe green energy, but that is an issue which we don't have a unanimous agreement upon. I think US जो है वो sustainable energy के बदले अभी सिर्फ इसको develop करना चाह रहा है because it's a new technology. इसके अलावा another risk of AI is political. Elections के time पे जो deep fakes होता है, that can change the mindset of the people. It can spread misinformation. So for handling that, there needs to be regulations for marking an image or a video with some mark or watermark to distinguish that it is generated by AI.
I was thinking that all these scamsters who are using digital arrest,
digital
if they master the skill of
yes,
this one, it will be very dangerous.
Voice cloning can be used.
Voice cloning can be used. Even sir,
it's already being used.
It is already being used.
Digital version of you can come on the TV screen and they can announce anything. Sir, इसके बाद the next is की job losses. Job losses, we can say कि there will be temporary displacement of the jobs. So for that, the government must create a security net. Whatever job losses are happening for a temporary period of time, उनके लिए कुछ सिक्योरिटी नेट, जैसे कि सर बेसिक इनकम टाइप की चीज़ें वो होनी चाहिए. एंड हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि थ्रू डिफरेंट स्कीम्स जो भी गवर्नमेंट अनाउंस कर रही है ना इलेक्शंस में, फ्रीबीज के तौर पे या फिर मिनिमम जो बेसिक इनकम प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं हम लोग, 2000 रुपीज़ 5000 रुपीज़ जो भी है, इट इज़ क्रिएटिंग अ काइंड ऑफ सिक्योरिटी नेट ओनली. ठीक है, स्पेशली फॉर द लोअर सेक्शन ऑफ द सोसाइटी. सिमिलरली अगर हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस अगर हम लोग प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, आयुष्मान भारत, और हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अच्छा कर रहे हैं, तो हम एक सिक्योरिटी नेट क्रिएट कर रहे हैं. तो वी शुड ट्राई टू क्रिएट सच नेट्स सो दैट अगर जो लोगों की एआई की वजह से जॉब लॉस होगी टेम्पररी, उनके पास कुछ टाइम के लिए एक बेसिक इनकम रहे. तो ये एक चैलेंज हो सकता है सर एआई का. फिर एआई का एक और चैलेंज हो सकता है कि इट डज नॉट रिप्रेजेंट द एंटायर डाइवर्सिटी ऑफ द ह्यूमन रेस.
राइट.
ठीक है, तो वो जो बायस वाला है वो हमेशा ही
वाइट मेल
बायस है, या फिर ग्लोबल साउथ की कोई भी वॉइस नहीं है इसमें. या फिर जैसे सपोज कि सस्टेनेबिलिटी को प्रायोरिटी नहीं देते हम लोग इसमें, तो AI कैन गो ऑन दैट पाथ विच डू नॉट प्रमोट सस्टेनेबल सॉल्यूशंस इन द फ्यूचर.
A lot of important decisions are being done. Early screening for job applications, loan applications.
हाँ.
So this can all affect.
मैं सर की बात में एक चीज़ और ऐड करना चाहूँगा कि सर AI को लेकर एक चीज़ जिसको हमें ध्यान में रखना चाहिए वो है पोलराइजेशन ऑफ स्किल्स. अब हमारे यहाँ धीरे धीरे 2 स्ट्रीम ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स होते जाएंगे. एक वो है जो IIT NIT से निकल कर आ रहा है, उसके पास IIM है, एक डिग्री है, स्किल्स सारे हैं, और एक जो वास्ट नंबर ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स जो कि ऐसे किसी प्राइवेट कॉलेज से आ रहा है, उसके और उनके स्किल गैप बहुत बड़ा होगा. तो ये भी एक तरह का डिजिटल डिवाइड जो क्रिएट हो जाएगा
in terms of employability also.
एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी जो है, तो उसको भी हमें ध्यान में रखना पड़ेगा कि इन लोगों को रोकना नहीं है, इनको कैसे हम अप स्किल और री स्किल करें.
Is our curriculum updated to deal with this AI opportunity?
I don't think so because नीति आयोग ने 2019 में भारत गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को एक स्ट्रेटजी पेपर सबमिट किया था. उसमें उन्होंने एक पूरा प्रोग्राम बताया था कि हमें सबसे पहले ये देखना चाहिए कि इन सब चीज़ों की वजह से जॉब नेचर कैसे चेंज हो रहा है, और जब हम जॉब नेचर चेंज कर पाएंगे तो जाहिर सी बात है उसके बाद एक फीडबैक सिस्टम हम बनाएं. जो भी हमारे इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं, जैसे ऑल इंडिया काउंसिल फॉर टेक्निकल एजुकेशन है ना. देखिए IIT NIT तो उनको तो बताने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, दे कीप अप विद द ट्रेंड, है ना. बट व्हाट अबाउट द रेस्ट, वेयर द मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स आर गोइंग, तो वहाँ पर हम करिकुलम को उस हिसाब से चेंज करें. बट प्रॉब्लम ये है कि वहाँ पर जो एजुकेटर हैं, टीचर्स हैं, प्रोफेसर्स हैं, वो कितने अपडेटेड हैं या वो कितने अप स्किल्ड हैं. ये एक ऐसा हमारा चैलेंज है कि इसके लिए सोल्यूशन साइंस में नहीं है. सोल्यूशन हैज़ टू बी वर्कड आउट बाय इकोनॉमिस्ट, बाय द पॉलिटिशियंस, बाय द एकेडमिशियंस, हाउ दे टैकल विद इट. क्योंकि ये बहुत बड़ा मसला होने वाला है, क्योंकि हम 2-4-5 लोगों के पास अगर हम वो जैसे बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां बना भी लेता है, वर्क फोर्स हम कहाँ से लाएंगे. दैट इज वी ऑल्सो हैव टू लुक इट. और अभी दीज आर अर्ली डेज, और जैसे हम बात भी करते हैं डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड, दिस प्रोबेबली कुड बी द सेक्टर विच गिव अस द ह्यूज डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड, क्योंकि दिस इज द सनराइज सेक्टर, और यहाँ पर अगर हम कर पाएँ तो दैट विल रियली बेनिफिट अस.
सर इसमें एक और चीज़ मैं ऐड करना चाहूँगा, सॉरी सर. AI इज़ हेल्पिंग अस मेक गुड डिसीजंस, है ना. इट इज़ गिविंग अस ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन सर्व्ड ऑन अ प्लेटर. तो इससे क्या होता है कि अगर लोग इसके ऊपर ओवर रिलाई करते हैं तो जो खुद की लॉजिकल थिंकिंग एबिलिटीज है वो कम हो सकती है.
दैट्स अगेन अ वेरी वैलिड पॉइंट सर हैज सेड. आफ्टर अ लॉन्ग टाइम स्वीडन हैज गॉन बैक टू द बुक्स. दे रियलाइज कि बच्चों का स्पान ऑफ अटेंशन कम हो रहा है. अब जैसे हम लोग जब स्कूल कॉलेज में थे तो गूगल नहीं था, तो हम लाइब्रेरी में जाते थे, किताबें ढूंढते थे, नोट्स बनाते थे, एक
बेसिक रिसर्च.
हाँ, उसके एक अलग मेहनत होती थी. फिर आया गूगल, आसान हो गया. अब हो गया ये टेक्स्ट बेस्ड GPT टाइप सिस्टम, टाइप एनीथिंग, यू गेट द आंसर, राइट द आंसर, एंड देन obviously more often than not plagiarism is a very common thing. People are using this for even research papers to plagiarize. So forget about a school going kid solving a maths problem. So where are the skills they are developing?
Original thinking is
तो वही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि सर इसका फ्यूचर इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा कि इनको बेसिक मैथ्स भी नहीं आती होगी, तो ये टेक्नोलॉजी को कैसे कैरी फॉरवर्ड करेंगे. तो वो तो फिर और कम लोगों के हाथ में चीज़ें कंसंट्रेट होती जाएंगी. सो द गैप बिटवीन द पुअर हैव्स एंड द हैव नॉट्स विल फर्दर इंक्रीज. तो दैट ऑल्सो वी नीड टू कीप एन आई. And I'm a very big votary कि government need to regulate. Book is a book. It should not be replaced because that increases the span of attention. So research करने के लिए span of attention तो चाहिए ना, कि मैं इतना सोच पाऊँ. अब मैं सोच ही नहीं पा रहा हूँ, मेरा span of attention ही इतना छोटा हो गया Instagram की रील देख कर. तो how come I will be able to do that?
Focus.
That is what we have to think about so that this can happen.
एक टर्म आ रहा है ब्रेन रॉट.
ब्रेन रॉट,
तो वो ब्रेन रॉट AI से भी ब्रेन रॉट हो सकता है फ्यूचर में.
Yes, that can be because you can see when we were young there was no mobile and all, so we have all the telephone numbers of our relatives on our tongue. Now I don't think today we remember any other mobile number than our own. That is what is happening.
So we discussed about the risks associated with the misuse of AI. How will you address these risks? What should be our approach towards it?
That is one of the most important questions I think in today's discussion. Ki what should the government and the people do? As Sir rightly mentioned, AI is here to stay. It will stay, and if India does not participate in this AI marathon, then India will be left behind. So we have to do it. Then what should the government do? The government should promote an inclusive and democratized type of AI model which is developed in India. Then it should focus on reinventing education. The new education policy already focuses on experiential learning, vocational education, learning through doing things on a practical basis. तो उससे बच्चों की थिंकिंग और लॉजिकल एबिलिटीज अच्छी होंगी. एंड देयर शुड बी सम रेगुलेशंस की एआई कौन यूज़ कर सकता है, कौन नहीं यूज़ कर सकता. जैसे कि जस्ट फॉर एन एग्जांपल, इट इज़ नॉट रिलेटेड, कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया ने टीनेजर्स के लिए सोशल मीडिया का यूज़ बैन किया हुआ है अभी. तो सिमिलर टाइप ऑफ थिंग्स वी कैन डू फॉर एआई ऑल्सो. इसके अलावा अपस्किलिंग एंड रीस्किलिंग जो है दैट इज़ द ओनली ऑप्शन. वी हैव टू प्रमोट न्यू स्किल, जैसे कि प्रधानमंत्री कौशल विकास योजना है अंडर द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ स्किल डेवलपमेंट एंड एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. It is promoting skilling in vocational education and also in like cyber security and data center development etc. तो इस टाइप की चीज़ें हमें प्रमोट करनी चाहिए.
I think there should also be transparency in the data. That people should know on what basis is being the AI model is working.
That is one good point, sir. I would like to add a few points. कि the current AI models, they are like a black box. How do they arrive at an answer? It is very difficult to find out.
There is no disclosure.
So nowadays people are developing those AI models which can also explain the logic which the model follows.
How is it coming into that conclusion?
To come at that conclusion.
It was used by DeepSeek, chain of thought. And to that, what Sir was saying, I will just add, see, what we can have two models to address the risk associated with. First, European Union has passed a law, AI Act, and what they did on the basis of the risk associated, they have classified applications into 4 categories. High risk, like social scoring, ban. Second is moderate risk, that is like healthcare or self-driven car. After testing and all, if they arrive, आप कर सकते हो. तीसरा मिनिमल रिस्क, लाइक जीपीटी टाइप, ये कर सकते हो. और नो रिस्क लाइक गेम्स. आप यूएस ने दूसरा अप्रोच किया. यूएस ने अप्रोच क्या किया, उन्होंने कहा कि आप कोई भी एप्लीकेशन डेवलप कर रहे हो, बिफोर यू ब्रिंग इट टू द मार्केट, गिव इट टू द गवर्नमेंट. दैट्स कॉल्ड सैंडबॉक्स अप्रोच. तो उसमें क्या होता है, जब और आपको सरकार यूएस गवर्नमेंट को, बट ये बाइडन के टाइम था, अब वी हैव टू सी व्हाट हैपेंस नाउ. उसमें गवर्नमेंट आपको पूरी टेक्नोलॉजिकल पार्ट उसका एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा कि कैसे ये काम कर रहा है, क्या कर रहा है, और गवर्नमेंट आपको उसमें चेंजेस लाने के लिए बोलेगी, वो आपको लाकर करना पड़ेगा. देन यू कैन ब्रिंग इट फॉर द पब्लिक. सो दैट वी कैन डू. वी कैन ऑल्सो हैव अ लेजिस्लेशन. देन दैट इज द ओनली वे you can regulate it, but the problem is it is an international thing, so you cannot have the thing is stopped at the border, because if there is internet connectivity, then you can have access it. So that is the problem. तो आप physical border की तरह से नहीं रोक सकते. There has to be global consensus, which I don't think is there at this moment.
And sir, this type of technology, sir, which is it is basically based on data. The more data it can access, the more accurate it will become. So we should think about having global cooperation, so that all the countries can pool in their data and then they can develop a good AI model.
Okay. So thank you everyone. With this we will conclude the session. You can comment PDF in the comment box or in the chat box to download, to get access to the PDF document which covers all the important areas of AI. Exam relevance from UPSC perspective for prelims, mains and interview. Thank you.
Questions?